Hey everybody, it's Dave Isaacs coming to you from the Guitar Studio on Music Row here in Nashville, Tennessee. I want to get into a little bit of blues lead guitar today, and we're going to take a look at the opening solo played by Peter Green on the first Fleetwood Mac album. The song is called I Loved Another Woman. We're in the key of D minor following a standard 12-bar structure. So that means our one chord is D minor and the rhythm goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. Then the G minor 4 chord. Back to the D minor 1 chord. To an A7 5 chord. To a D minor. Now you might recognize a similarity between this pattern and Black Magic Woman, which is another Peter Green song that was made famous by Santana, and you would be correct. It's a similar groove, it's in the same key, also a minor blues. The difference is that in Black Magic Woman the chords occur in a different order. We can look at that in another lesson. But I love the intro solo in this because it's so simple and it introduces some really cool bending licks. So we're going to start off like this. Now we're in the 10th position. If you're familiar with the minor pentatonic, which if you're watching this you probably are, then you know this fingering, starting from the 10th fret, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13, and generally I like to go back to the root just to reinforce the sound of where 1 is in these scales. So Peter Green is working off this pentatonic form and working in a couple of minor notes and some bends. So the first thing we need to look at is this bend on the 3rd string, 12th fret, which is held by the ring finger, and you notice that I've got index and middle sitting on the same string as well. I'm going to bend up. Notice how my thumb is coming over the top of the neck to give me a little bit of leverage, and that the movement itself has as much to do with my wrist and arm as it does with my fingers. As with a lot of things on guitar, you want to try to maximize leverage. Whenever you can use leverage to create force instead of just pure muscle, it's generally going to make it easier to play and actually give you more power. So what happens with this bend is that we will plant the pinky on the 13th fret of the B string, and then when we bend the G string 12 to 14, we'll hold that note, hit the 2nd string, 13th fret, and then strike the bent 3rd string, come down, go to the 10th fret, and then extend the ring finger up to that 13th fret of the B string again, and play a whole step bend. 13th fret going up to sounding the pitch of fret 15. So in slow motion, it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now notice, I'm using the index and middle fingers to back up the ring finger anytime I'm bending with the ring. So that means that in order to grab this 2nd string and make that bend, I do need to move over. So I start with the 3rd string, bend using 3 fingers, pinky grabs the 2nd string 13th fret, then strike the bent string, release, come to the index finger on the 10th fret, and then I'm grabbing the 2nd string 13th fret, and as soon as I do that, the other 2 fingers pop over to reinforce the ring finger so I can handle the bend. Now, the first 2 licks of this are a perfect example of call and response, which is absolutely an essential concept of the blues. You can think of call and response as just being question and answer. So the call, or the question, ends with a bend going up. answered like this. It's almost the same notes because they both end on D. The first lick ends with a bent C up to this D here on the 15th fret, and the second ends with 12th fret of the D string. Once again. And then. Now we repeat the first lick. Now we have this little minor lick. Still working off that 10th position minor pentatonic, but with one additional note. Notice the fingering. Ring finger on the G string, fret 12. Partial bar gets fret 10 of the B string, fret 10 of the E string, fret 13 of the B string, fret 10 of the B string, once again under the bar, fret 10 of the G string, also under that same bar, then sliding the index finger down a fret, and then landing back to D on the D string 12th fret. Again, you can hear a little echo of Black Magic Woman in there, can't you? Then we have this lick. Working straight off the pentatonic form, but 1, 2, 3, 4 slides. So that's the ring finger coming from fret 10, sliding to 12. That brings the index into position for this C, the flat 7 here on the 10th fret of the D string. And then triplet, 8th notes. So this final lick is straight minor pentatonic once again, hitting the A here on the A string 12th fret, hammer C to D, 10 to 12 on the D string, back to 10 is a C, back to 12 on the A string, and that is a triplet, and then 4 8th notes, 10, 12, 10, 8, 10. And notice, by the way, sliding down from 10 to 8, this is simply another way to play. That F note can be found here on the 13th fret of the E string, and when I showed you the form before, that was where I played it. But I find this more fluid. So it's a simple enough fingering. Ring, index, ring, index, ring, index, slide down, ending with the ring finger on fret 10, and then 3-note D minor chord, 1 finger bar on the 10th fret, hit 3 strings. Once again, you can hear how these same sounds show up in Black Magic Woman. Let's hear the whole thing against the backing track. Pretty cool, right? There's a lot more to dig into here. A lot of people consider Peter Green to be the best of the British blues guitarists of that blues revival in the 1960s that produced Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck and so much other great music. He isn't necessarily known in the US to the same degree that these other players are. But his tone and his phrasing are so wonderful, and what I love about this solo is that it's very, very simple. It says everything it needs to say. It's very symmetrical, so it's easy to wrap your brain around musically. It's very singable. It's very vocal in the phrasing. And it's a great introduction to working with bends. So I just want to touch on this one more time. I want you to notice that when you bend that string, you have to be mindful of where you're going. Your finger is on the 12th fret, but the sound we want to hear, the pitch we want to hear, is on the 14th fret. So as you're working on this, you may want to start by playing the 14th fret note and then practicing a slow bend until it sounds like you've got the note, and then check it. Adding a little vibrato at the top of the bend is a nice touch. Same thing goes for the 13th fret bend on the second string. The note we want to hear is actually the D on the 15th fret, so check it. And of course the challenge here, or another challenge, is that we're going to grab that 15th fret note with the pinky while the third string is still bent. This isn't easy if you're new to bending, but so if you break it down to the component moves, it's not that hard. You just need to be able to manage a couple of things. Sustaining this note, getting the pinky into place, releasing, and then setting up ring finger this time to get the 13th fret and push that up. The vibrato comes from just relaxing the bend a little. So I'm still holding it, but I'm letting the pitch come down and then pushing back up. It's worth practicing these bends individually. G string, 12th fret, bending up a whole step. Try bending without vibrato, bending with vibrato, bend and release, keeping the pressure even so that the note sustains through the whole thing, and then adding the pinky note, the C on the B string, 13th fret. Then bend, grab, release, come off this, and as I said, lots more to explore, lots more to get into, but this is a great introduction. So check out the tune. It's called I Loved Another Woman, written by and performed by Peter Green with Fleetwood Mac on their first record, which is very much a blues record. If you know Fleetwood Mac from the mid-70s through 80s Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham incarnation, the pop group, which made wonderful music, but you don't know the early blues records, you're really missing something, so make sure that you check those out. Link to the tab is in the description, so check it out. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.